How to truly make the most out of your year or your investments. And I've spoken about this before. It's quite a hot topic for me, actually. I mean, I say that, but it's a hot topic if you've been around. But if this is new for you, enjoy and welcome. I want to talk about how you can make the most out of your investments and how you can make the most out of your year. And the reason for that is I think it's so easy for us to put our accountability and responsibility elsewhere and not truly focus on our role in when we make decisions, and truly focus on our responsibility when we make decisions. And ultimately, I think it's also very easy to give our power away to the circumstances of the outside world rather than give it back to ourselves and put ourselves back in control of your life, your year, your business, your investment, whatever it might be. So how can you truly make the most out of an investment, out of an experience, and out of your year? And I think that's a question that we need to actually sit with. And I would really, really strongly invite you to sit with that question, journal on it, meditate on it, go for a walk with it. But how are you going to make the most out of your year and out of any investments that you make? How are you going to do that? Why are you going to make the most out of your year, out of your investments, out of your choices? Why is that going to happen for you? Why are you doing that? I think it's really important that you actually spend some time answering that question, because only when you become very intentional and very, very clear about the choices that you're making and the path that you are walking, can you really start to move the needle on the choices that you're making and the path that you are walking. So if we are just endlessly going through the motions, starting a new week, starting a new month, setting new goals, achieving the goals, but there's not really anything happening, nothing else is going on to fulfill you and to create that long-lasting change, we're not making the most out of the year and we're not making the most out of our investments. So I want you to be thinking about that. To make the most out of your year, you need to be really clear about what you want to get from it. And this isn't about New Year's resolutions. This is not about New Year's resolutions. It's not about setting business goals. It's not just about having a list on your wall that you start ticking off. It's about you really being aware and responsible of when you get to December 2021, which of course is going to happen, that is an inevitable thing, that time continues to move forward. Where do you want your life to be? And how do you want your business to have supported that process? Where do you want to actually be in your energy, your relationships, your mood, all of it? How do you want that to look for you? And the only way that you can make the most out of your year is when you can see where you want to be. You can see where you are going. And then you can become so laser focused on making sure that that becomes your purpose, that becomes your passion, building out your year and carving it out to the place that you desire to be at the end. And it's exactly the same with investments. If you invest in a coach, a mastermind, a program, a course, are you doing the work? It's very easy to say, well, are you going to help me get there? Do you guarantee results? What will you be doing for me? Are you available? But what are you doing? What are you continually doing to go above and beyond for yourself? What are you doing to go the extra mile for yourself? What are you doing to be resilient, to be resourceful, to be solution-based, to be proactive, to make mistakes, to try new things, to be creative, innovative, adaptive? What are you doing to make the most out of that? When you invest and you look at the people you're investing in, they will be doing exactly what they expect you to be doing in their business too. They will be adapting, innovating, creating, making mistakes, delegating, putting themselves out there, doing the real gritty work. And that's exactly what you will need to be doing. So when we invest in someone else, it's not giving them responsibility or accountability or even our power. It's giving them the opportunity to support us. It's giving them the opportunity to help make us better, to support and mentor us in that entire process. But it's not they then do the work for you, because they have to run their own business. And it's a knock-on effect, isn't it? The people that you work with have created success that you aspire to have. You then create that success and people aspire to create it from you. But if your mentor or your coach stopped creating their own success because they're busy creating yours, how would their business continue to move forward? And the same for you, how would yours? So it's really important when you think about how are you making the most out of your investments, it comes from you. The bottom line is it really does come from you. Are you prepared? Do you come with questions? Do you give all the resources that you need to? Do you binge watch videos? Do you watch replays? Do you show up live for guest expert trainings? Do you go out and find your own resources and examples? Do you look for your own ideas? Do you find ways and options that you want to bring to the calls, and then your coach can help support you with that? How proactive are you being in that process? And this is also for your life. How proactive are you being in your life? Is every day the same? Are you doing the same thing all the time? Is every day just turning into a mix of the day before and the mix of the day to come? Or are you being really proactive and purposeful about what you're going to get done, why you're doing it, why it matters, putting yourself into a positive position, making sure that you are creating your future in everything that you're doing today to put you where you want to be? This year, and every year, is not just about January. It's not just about coming out of the gate and hitting it hard. It's about the entire year. There are 12 months in the year, 52 weeks, 365 days. It's an incredible opportunity to grow consistently. And it's exactly the same with your investment. Just because the investment ends, whenever you finish the program, what you've learned and the actions that you take and what you put in place have not finished. They don't just suddenly stop working. You continue to grow. So many of my clients that I worked with in 2019 had incredible success in 2020 and came back to me and, with DMs and messages and said how incredible the experience has been and how much they've grown. And even though it's been a year, they have still continued to implement everything that I put in place. And they continue to see me as an inspiration because I continue to do that too. We have to make sure that we are taking responsibility for where we want to be going and how we want to get there. So ask yourself that question and spend time thinking about that. How are you going to make the most out of your year, and how are you going to make the most out of your investments this year? It's imperative. I'm so passionate about this, honestly. The only reason that people move the needle forward, create success, make progress, whatever it might be, the only reason that happens is because they are committed to making it so. Fully committed. And they are fully focused on how to do that. So remember that, you have to be the committed one in your life, in your investments, in the choices that you make. And if someone is having to commit more than you are, then something needs to shift. If your coach is doing more to zhuzh you up and get things out of you and put some ideas on the table and get you to take action, we need to think about that, because that is not where you want to be. You want to be the one that is putting things forward, trying new things, looking for the guidance, but you come up with the raw materials. And it's the same for your year. If everyone around you is doing more to make the most out of the year and you just go along with it, oh, we've booked this, we're doing this, we're going to go here, we've got this event, we're doing that, we're seeing this person, we're doing this group FaceTime, whatever it might be, and you're just kind of like a passenger in this whole process, you're not going to make the most out of your year. So it's important. It is important. And this is why I strongly invite you to sit with this question. How are you going to make the most out of this year? And how are you going to make the most out of the investments that you make? How are you going to be the most proactive, committed, intentional, purposeful person this year in your life and in your business? So that when you do project yourself forward and you think about where you are in 2020 December, you have intentionally created that. You've intentionally carved that out. You've made that your reality. And you can sit with that knowing that you've been the driving force in that process. You've been the driving force in that experience. So how can you get the most out of your year? Well, to be honest, everything I've shared with you, your commitment, your passion, your clarity, your purpose, sitting with that question, thinking about what you're doing to always be the person that is in control of your life, that is the empowered one in your life. Thinking about how you can be the person that is making empowered decisions for yourself, more than anything else, for yourself. So how can you make the most out of this year, and how can you make the most out of your investments? Sit with those questions, see what comes up for you, and also look at where you do struggle. Where do you struggle with commitment, consistency, ideas, creation, strategy, planning, deadlines, delegation? Where do you want to grow this year and develop? And make that focus. How can you make the most out of your year and your investment? Improve on the things that need improving. Refine the things that are currently not your strengths. Work on becoming more resilient in the areas that right now potentially are holding you back. it's so important, and there's so many messages around, being in your zone of genius and working in your zone of genius, and I absolutely advocate that. But I also, as a well-rounded entrepreneur, I really want to be able to look at myself and know that I have still improved on areas that I can improve on, that I'm progressing, that I'm making changes, that I'm looking to move myself forward as a businesswoman, as a wife, as a friend, as a sister, as an auntie, whatever it might be. I want to make sure that the things that need refining, I'm spending time refining them as well. It is about every part of me. How can I make the most out of my year and all of my investments? Well, by looking at every asset and facet of my business and myself. So give yourself that opportunity too, to look at what has held you back, what has prevented you from getting to that next level. What's that missing ingredient? And really think about that. What's the missing ingredient, the missing piece that you really want to start making changes for? And I really hope that this gives you some food for thought as you start a new year. You start embarking on new journeys, making new exciting decisions. And I never want you to be in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I didn't realize this was going to happen. Or I just don't feel prepared. Or, oh, I really want to do this, but I can't. I want you to be super intentional. I want you to give yourself back your power. And I really want that to be something that you focus on. I really, really do. And I really want you to get the most out of your year and to get the most out of your investments. When you're investing in yourself. You're telling yourself, the universe, your inner self, that you believe and you are committed to that next step. That's powerful. That in itself will create a shift. That in itself will move you forward. So maybe you need to stop stagnating, stop circling around the same excuses and saying the same reasons that you can't do it right now, and start pushing yourself forward. Maybe, just maybe, that's what you need to do. So I really hope this has given you some food for thought. I'd love to hear what comes up for you. I'd love to hear where you are with this and what you are doing to make this year your most incredible, and what you're doing to make the most out of the year and your investments, and how you're going to really show up for yourself. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you and hearing what you're doing and what you're up to and the choices that you're making. And I will see you very, very soon.